Part 2. The Continuing Journey, Mysteries of Enlightenment and Discovery. Welcome back to Inner Stillness. After delving into the profound lessons of Part 1, today, we continue our journey to explore even deeper, more mysterious stories and ancient philosophies that could transform your perspective on life. In this second part, you'll be guided further into the depths of discovery, where true wisdom doesn't come from seeking answers externally, but from recognizing the miracles hidden within our everyday lives. We will continue with timeless stories that unfold profound truths about transformation, enlightenment, and the ability to accept the impermanence of life. Prepare yourself to immerse in stories and lessons about sacrifice, inner peace, and facing life's challenges without being swayed by fleeting emotions. From here, you will see more clearly the connection between harmony and wisdom, key elements that help us live a meaningful and peaceful life. Continue this journey of discovery with inner stillness. True understanding is not something distant. It can be found in every living moment of your life. Story 6. The Way is Simplicity, Laozi. Laozi, one of the great masters of Taoist philosophy, left behind many profound teachings about life and our connection to nature. One of the most prominent philosophies he followed was that the way is naturally simple, without the need for complicated effort. This is an idea that few can easily grasp in the modern world, where complexity and struggle are often seen as the keys to success. One day, as Laozi was passing through a small village, the villagers hurriedly invited him to help solve a problem they believed was urgent. They were caught up in endless worries and conflicts in life and didn't know how to find true peace. As Laozi sat down in the village, one of them, a weary man with a curious look in his eyes, asked him, "Master Laozi, how can we live a peaceful life without being caught up in endless worries and never truly finding peace?" Laozi sat in silence for a long time, as if searching for the right way to answer this not-so-simple question. After a pause, he pointed outside toward the river winding through the village. Everyone in the village followed his gesture. "Let nature lead the way. Don't struggle," Laozi said simply but profoundly. He continued, "Look at water. It always seeks the lowest places, never competing. Water flows endlessly, and even when it encounters obstacles, it finds a way through. But in the end, water is the most powerful. It can erode rock and carve out great rivers. Similarly, if you live a simple life, in harmony with nature, you will achieve the strength and peace that come without the need for struggle." Lesson: life doesn't need to be overly complicated. We often try to control and arrange everything to excess. But sometimes peace comes from letting things unfold naturally, without forcing or struggling. Like the river always finding its path, we can find strength in simplicity and harmony with nature. Sometimes, the best way to live peacefully is to let go of control and let things happen naturally. Deeper explanation: Laozi conveyed an incredibly important message. Peace does not come from control or struggle, but from the ability to accept and allow things to unfold in their natural way. In the modern world, many people feel pressured to have all the answers, to control every situation, and in doing so, make life far more complicated than it needs to be. Laozi advises us to let go of futile efforts and embrace simplicity, for that is how the universe operates, through harmony, not by force or artificial endurance. Application in daily life. In our lives, there are many times we face challenges or conflicts, and we often try to overcome them by force or coercion. However, Laozi reminds us that sometimes true peace comes only when we stop struggling and allow things to unfold naturally. Let the difficulties pass by like drifting clouds, without overreacting, but simply be patient and maintain inner peace. Remember, just like the water can flow through all obstacles, you too can find peace and inner strength when you let things unfold naturally and stop stressing about the things you cannot control. Story 7. The Power of Wisdom, Not Force, Zhuangzi. In ancient China, during the tumultuous Warring States period, King Huiyuan of the state of Zhao was known for his militaristic approach to ruling. The king believed that strength and power were the most effective means of governing, and as a result, he frequently organized sword-fighting tournaments, public displays of power, and military conquests to assert his dominance over his neighbors. His belief in the supremacy of force led to a series of conflicts that only further strained relations with other states and failed to bring him true peace. One day, the renowned philosopher Zhuangzi, known for his wisdom and calm demeanor, was invited to the court of King Huiwen. The king, intrigued by Zhuangzi's reputation, welcomed him with the expectation that the philosopher would reinforce his views on the importance of military strength. But Zhuangzi had something far deeper to offer. Upon being introduced to the king, Zhuangzi did not immediately engage in philosophical debate or offer any conventional advice. Instead, he quietly observed the bustling activity of the court and listened to the sounds of the sword fights in the distance. After a long pause, he turned to the king and said, "If you continue to pursue victory through force alone, your kingdom will never know true peace. The sword may win battles, but it does not conquer the hearts of the people." King Huiwen, puzzled, asked, "But what other method is there? Zhuangzi, how else can I secure my kingdom and ensure my power?" Zhuangzi smiled gently and replied, "Consider the way of water. It is soft, yielding, and yet it shapes mountains. The most powerful force in the world is not the one that fights against the current, but the one that moves with it. If you only seek to impose your will through force, the people will fear you, but they will never love or respect you. True power comes from understanding, from wisdom, and from governing with compassion." He continued, "The ruler who relies on force rules through fear and control, but a ruler who leads with wisdom and benevolence commands respect and loyalty. You do not need to strike down your enemies to bring peace. You must first learn to understand them, to cultivate harmony within your own kingdom, and then peace will follow naturally." Moved by the philosopher's words, King Huiwen reflected deeply on his approach to governance. Instead of continuing his reliance on force, he began to focus on the power of wisdom and compassion. He appointed wise ministers, promoted education, and focused on peaceful diplomacy with neighboring states. He realized that true strength lay in building relationships, fostering understanding, and creating an environment of mutual respect. Over time, King Huiwen's kingdom flourished. Peace settled over the land, trade flourished, and the people prospered. The king no longer needed to rely on military conquests, as his reputation for wisdom and justice spread far and wide. He learned that true power was not in domination, but in the ability to unite, to lead with fairness, and to rule with compassion. The lesson from this story is clear. True strength does not come from violence, force, or domination. It comes from wisdom, understanding, and the ability to govern with benevolence. Force may yield short-term victories, but it is only through wisdom and compassion that true peace and prosperity can be achieved. By cultivating harmony and exercising empathy, a leader can achieve lasting success and win the loyalty and respect of their people. Deeper explanation. Zhuangzi's teaching underscores the timeless principle that wisdom and virtue are the cornerstones of effective leadership. In a world that often values strength and conquest, it is easy to overlook the quieter, more subtle forces that shape societies. Zhuangzi's philosophy, rooted in Taoism, teaches that those who lead with humility, intelligence, and care will ultimately achieve far greater success than those who rely solely on force. This philosophy is not just applicable to kings or rulers, but to every individual who seeks to create meaningful, lasting change in their own lives and in the world around them. Application to modern life. In the modern world, we often see leaders who resort to force, manipulation, or coercion to get things done. Whether in politics, business, or personal relationships, the temptation to use power as a tool to control others is ever present. However, Zhuangzi's story serves as a reminder that true influence comes from understanding, listening, and fostering cooperation, not from imposing one's will on others. In your own life, consider how you respond to challenges. Do you react with aggression or try to force your way through obstacles? Or do you approach problems with patience, wisdom, and a willingness to understand all perspectives? Just as water flows around rocks and erodes mountains over time, so too can you achieve lasting success by embracing flexibility, patience, and compassion in your actions. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to stop fighting and allow things to unfold naturally. In relationships, business, or personal growth, forceful actions often backfire, while wisdom and understanding open the door to true success and peace. Final thought: Zhuangzi's message about wisdom over force offers a timeless path to peace and success. By embracing compassion, empathy, and understanding, we can navigate the complexities of life with greater ease. And in doing so, we find that true power lies not in conquering others, but in mastering ourselves and creating harmony with those around us. Story 8. If you don't sweep your own house, how can you sweep the world? Tranfian was a young man full of ambition, always wanting to change the world. One day, a friend came to visit him and noticed his house was in disarray. Surprised, the friend asked, "Why don't you clean your house?" Tranfian replied, "If I want to change the world, why bother with housework?" The friend responded, "If you don't sweep your own house, how can you sweep the world?" After hearing this, Tranfian realized that great change begins with the small things. The lesson: if you want to change the world, you must first change yourself and start with the simple tasks. Tranfian was a young man brimming with ambition, always dreaming of making a difference in the world. He was determined to bring about major changes, thinking that he could solve global problems and improve society. Every day, he focused on grand issues, such as social injustices and global challenges, believing that he could contribute to making the world a better place. One day, while sitting in his small home, Tranfian's friend came to visit. Upon seeing the disorder around him, the friend was puzzled and asked, "Why don't you clean your house? How can you live in such a mess?" Tranfian, with his confidence and zeal for big dreams, answered, "If I want to change the world, why should I worry about housework? Shouldn't we focus on the global issues instead?" With a calm smile, the friend replied, "If you don't sweep your own house, how can you sweep the world?" The words of his friend acted like a wake-up call for Tranfian. After a moment of reflection, he began to realize that meaningful change doesn't start with grand ideas alone. It begins with the small actions we take in our everyday lives. If he couldn't keep his own house in order, how could he expect to change the world? Lesson learned. The lesson from this story is clear. If you want to change the world, you must first change yourself and begin with the small things. We often dream of making big changes, but forget that the foundation for large-scale transformations comes from starting with the simple and daily actions in our lives. The world around us cannot change unless each individual changes themselves, starting with small things like keeping our homes in order, maintaining organization in our work, or nurturing the relationships within our families. A deeper explanation: this story emphasizes that real change begins with small steps. We often expect change to happen quickly and dramatically, but true transformation happens through consistent, small actions. When you clean your house, you're not just organizing your physical space, you're creating an environment that allows your mind to be at ease, ready for bigger goals. Similarly, societal change doesn't happen overnight. It is the result of a long process of individuals changing, starting with their own daily habits, attitudes, and behavior. Tranfian, upon realizing that changing the world begins at home, understood that societal transformation requires individuals to lead by example, starting with themselves. This is the philosophy of leading by example in small things, to create large and lasting impacts. Application in daily life. In our modern lives, we often wish to change society or improve the world. But Tranfian's story reminds us that real change doesn't start with big plans or global strategies. It starts with simple actions in our daily lives. For example, if you want to create a clean and beautiful community, you must first keep your personal space and workspace tidy. If you want to build a just society, you must first practice fairness in your own relationships and family. Moreover, self-transformation begins with small steps, such as managing time effectively, improving habits, maintaining an optimistic mindset, and taking care of health. These seemingly simple actions form a solid foundation for greater success and influence. Conclusion: the story, if you don't sweep your own house, how can you sweep the world? By Tran Phien offers a profound lesson about starting with the small things to build larger change. To change the world, we must first change ourselves, beginning with the simple but essential tasks in our daily lives. Only when we manage the small things well can we create significant and lasting change for our communities and the world. Story 9. Honesty brings strength. Tong Lui Dao. Tong Lui Dao, a famous teacher during the Song dynasty, was known for his integrity and honesty. He was widely respected not just for his teaching skills, but for his unwavering commitment to truthfulness. He believed that honesty was the foundation of trust, which in turn formed the bedrock of lasting relationships. One day, the emperor of the Song dynasty urgently requested to meet with him. Upon receiving the summons, Tong Lui Dao immediately set out to see the emperor without hesitation, despite being busy with his own work. After the meeting, the emperor asked, "Aren't you worried that meeting me will disrupt your work?" Tong Lui Dao sat upright, his gaze calm and unwavering, and replied, "Only honesty and truth can build enduring trust. No matter how important the work may be, integrity must always come first. If I cannot be an example of truthfulness, how can I expect others to be?" The emperor was deeply moved by his words and realized that, in all relationships, whether between rulers and subjects or among friends and colleagues, honesty is the most crucial element. It is honesty that forms the foundation of trust and creates lasting bonds. Lesson learned: honesty not only helps to build long-lasting relationships, but it also creates a solid foundation for life. In today's world, we are often faced with the choice between truth and deception. But the story of Tong Lui Dao reminds us that only by living truthfully, both with ourselves and others, can we earn the trust and respect that will last over time. Deeper explanation: this story emphasizes the importance of honesty as a core value in life. Honesty helps build relationships without cracks, and trust is the cornerstone for personal and professional growth. Living truthfully is not only the way to success in work, but it also helps us maintain healthy relationships with others, whether in family, friendships, or business. In the modern world, we often face temptations to deceive or take shortcuts, but it is truthfulness that creates real value. Honesty fosters trust, and trust can endure through time, overcoming challenges and hardships. Application in everyday life. In today's fast-paced and competitive world, honesty has become even more important. To succeed, you don't need to rely on trickery or deceit. Instead, be honest with yourself and others. Every decision you make, whether big or small, should be based on honesty and integrity, because these values are what will earn you respect and trust from those around you. A real-life example: in a work environment, a leader who is honest will always build trust with their team. Employees will feel safe and confident working under such a leader, knowing they are treated fairly and truthfully. Honesty also fosters a strong corporate culture, where collaboration and mutual respect prevail, rather than competition or rivalry. Conclusion: honesty brings strength, teaches us the invisible power of truthfulness. It not only helps build strong relationships, but also creates a solid foundation for both career and personal life. Just like Tong Lui Dao, when we live and work with integrity, we not only earn trust but also create respect and a more sustainable life. Honesty is the force that strengthens all fields and relationships. Story 10. Life is impermanent. Learn to accept it. Buddhism. One day, the Buddha was sitting under a tree with his disciples when a gentle breeze caused the leaves to fall. A disciple, observing this, asked, "Master, where do the fallen leaves go?" The Buddha smiled warmly and replied, "Everything changes. The impermanence of life is inevitable, but accepting impermanence brings peace." He continued, "Look at the falling leaves. They return to the earth to nourish new life. Everything in life is constantly changing. It is only by accepting impermanence that we can find true peace." The disciple sat quietly for a long while, contemplating the Buddha's words, understanding the deep meaning behind them. Indeed, impermanence is an essential part of life, and rather than resisting it, the key is to accept it and live fully in each moment. Lesson learned: life is always changing, and everything is impermanent. The key is not to fight against it, but to accept it and live fully in each moment. Instead of worrying or fearing the inevitable changes that come our way, we can find peace by accepting change and embracing it as part of life. Deeper explanation: this story is not just about observing the falling leaves, but also about the profound lesson of impermanence. One of the core teachings of Buddhism, impermanence means that everything in life is transient, and nothing lasts forever. However, it is through this change that we find growth and renewal. The Buddha teaches that we should not fear or resist change, but rather learn to accept it, because change is a natural part of life, one that we cannot control. When we let go of our attachment to things that cannot last, we find freedom and peace in our hearts. Application in daily life. In life, we often face unexpected changes, such as loss, job changes, or personal challenges that we may not want. At these times, we may feel confused or saddened. However, when we understand impermanence, we can face these challenges more calmly, knowing that all difficulties will pass. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean we stop trying, but rather that we learn to live fully in each moment. When we understand that nothing is permanent, we can appreciate the present moment more, without being consumed by unnecessary worries about the future. A real-life example: imagine someone who loses their beloved job. Instead of feeling sorrowful and frustrated, they understand that change is inevitable. They accept the situation and begin looking for new opportunities, confident that the changes in life will open new doors. It is this acceptance of impermanence that gives them peace and the motivation to keep moving forward. Conclusion: life is impermanent. Learn to accept it is a reminder of the constant change in life and the importance of accepting it with calmness. We cannot control every change that comes our way, but we can learn to live fully in the present, not clinging to the past, nor fearing the future. Only by accepting impermanence can we find true peace in life. And so, our journey through ancient stories and profound philosophies from great masters comes to an end. Through each tale, we've learned valuable lessons about simplicity, patience, the strength of honesty, and how these values are the key to lasting peace and wisdom. Life will always present challenges, but when we learn to accept impermanence, live simply, and align ourselves with the natural rhythm of the universe, each moment becomes an opportunity for growth. We don't need to search far and wide. Everything we seek is within us, in what life has already taught us. Inner Stillness hopes that these stories have sparked a flame of self-awareness in you, so that you can face life's challenges with calmness and strength. Remember, wisdom and peace are not distant ideals. They are present in every simple moment within ourselves. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video if you found it helpful. We will continue to bring you more deep stories and lessons. May wisdom and peace always be present in your life. See you in the next video.